Last meeting, Chip Harvey gave me a little book and some printed matter. He briefly spoke to me and I took it home and I thought to myself, what on earth am I going to do with this? And I put it aside for a few days and then I started to look at it and I couldn't put it down. It was about P. Prune. How many people, hands up, how many people know who P. Prune was? Not many. Everything I'm about to tell you is 100% true. I want you to remember that, please. During World War II, information had to be disseminated to the Air Force troops, and they decided that by having strict manuals with just strict data in there, it wouldn't be very popular. So they invented P.O. Prune. P.O. Prune made every mistake in the book, and it was written up in such a way that it was humorous, but there was a lesson to be learned from it. So P.O. Prune was on the lips of virtually every airman in the previous war, World War II. A gentleman decided to go back through the family tree of P.O. Prune. I'm about to deliver to you, as I said, a true story of P.O. Prune. Percy Prune, looking pretty smart. Note the nose, because that's a family trait. And there was training memoranda was presented every month, and this always had something about P.O. Prune in it as to what mistakes he'd made and how stupid he'd been. And there's some of the drawings, and this was their logo, Dewey et Mon Digit. That was, pull your finger out. And so this investigator went right back to the family tree where the prunes grew. And they used to swing from branch to branch. And one of them fell out one day and he landed on his head. But it didn't do any damage because his head was solid bone. He was a bonehead. But he did manage to get on his feet and dragged himself around with his knuckles not far from the ground. Has anyone heard of Piltdown Man? Well, Piltdown is a small village in Sussex, and they found a fragment of bone there at one stage, 1912 it was, and the people in the game decided it could be the missing link, Darwin's missing link. So they worked away at it, and after quite a number of years with modern techniques, it was proved to be a failure. But this investigator has in fact proved that it is a prune skull that they've found. So a prune occupies the position of the missing link in Darwin's chain. Coming forward in time at 100 years BC, Prune the Druid used to go to the weekend matinees at Stonehenge and take his own axe and encourage people to tell him the truth about what was going on. Percius Prune was a Roman conscript. He made a bit of a mistake in that he heard that the Romans, after they'd been in England for a while, were taking British brides or British wives. He decided that he would take Romans' wives, and he took many Romans' wives and became very unpopular. Percius Prune supported William the Conqueror, and he hired the suit, which was a couple of sizes too big for him, and the sword was in excess of what he needed, and it tripped him over at the 3 battles which William the Conqueror had, and so while he survived, it was really put down to the size of his sword. You'll note that he has a bar sinister shield. You know what bar sinister means? Doubtful peregrine. And then there was peregrine. Most people think that a peregrine is a bird that travels over long distances. Actually, the bird got named after Peregrine Prune, but when his family got too big, decided that he would spend time overseas as well. And so he went off in the Crusades as often as he could to get away from his 8 kids and his wife. Philander Prune wrote poetry, and he was writing about how women should be chaste and pure, but he misinterpreted the word and put chaste women. And that's what his poetry was about. But he had a very successful life. Patch Prune didn't have to do very much at all apart from put on the uniform because he's a natural idiot. Phineas Prune got a job as a childminder in the Tower for Richard III. Pretty nasty piece of work. Plum Prune got a job with Henry VIII, got a plum job with Henry VIII, and Sir Francis Prune was an assistant to Sir Francis Drake, of course. And praise the Lord, Prune went to America with the Founding Fathers, and he was a very popular man over there. And so you can see that in this true story I'm telling you, in the book that Chip gave me, I got quite a few laughs, and I'm only presenting about a quarter of the stories that were there. And then there was Beau Prune. He was an assistant to George III, but George III went mad, and he assisted George in going mad. And then came the age of the motor car, and Philip Prune bought his first car, and there he is with his first car in the image in the background. And then there was Peter Prune, and that's a photo of him on his first solo and his aircraft in the background. 39, Percy Prune joined the RAF, and that's him at the end of his training, and he was transferred to Prangbore. So P.O. Prune spent the rest of the war at Prangbore. So there you are, that's the story of P.O. Prune. But P. Prune still exists today. Social interchange chat channel on the internet, and if you look up professional pilots chat box, you get all these stories. One pilot giving the latest news to anyone who wants to read it. So there you are. P. Prune still exists.